And then Drama Centre was my last one. That was my last crack. They sent me some classical beats, and they said, learn one of these, learn a bit of Shakespeare, and do a modern. So I turned up. There's a whole trestle table full of people, and I'm absolutely bricking it, right. And I think this is my last crack at this. And they go, look, the principal's there, and he says, lovely to meet you. Would you like to go up and just get yourself ready? And in your own time, would you like to do your modern piece for us? And I did a bit from Look Back in Anger. So I've done that, which they've probably seen a zillion times. And they were all looking down at the table. No one was looking at me, so I thought, I'm not even going to... So they said, thank you very much. Would you like to do your Shakespeare? So I did my Shakespeare, which went okay. I think that was Bottom from Midsummer Night's Dream. Thank you. Now, did you get the sheet of all the other... I said, yes, I did. Which piece did you... the Racine? He said, Racine. Racine. Racine, right. Would you like to perform that for us? And it was a character from a play by Racine, who was some French writer, a bit like Molière, that I'd never heard of. Right. So I did it. And he said, would you care to come and join us for a second? So I pulled up the chair and I'm sat there looking at them all going, what do you think that play is about? I said, it's about a bloke that falls in love with the Queen, but it's sort of unrequited. She doesn't fancy him, but she's too weak to let him go, and he sort of hangs about a bit too long. And he just looked at me and he said, where do you think this scene that you've just done, where do you think that took place? And I went, the palace. He said, yes, I know it's the palace, because it says that at the beginning of the scene, it says, in the little italic writing, it says, the palace, on Dramatis Palace. But where in the palace do you think this took place? And then I remembered it said antechamber. I said, an antechamber. He said, what's an antechamber? Is it a room before you get to the other room? Is it a room before the chamber? Yes, it's a room before the chamber. What do you think that means? What do you think what does that mean to you in this scene? I was clearly suffering. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. He said, it's a waiting room. I said, is it? Yes. That's what it is. It's a room where you wait before you're admitted into the room to meet the person. It's a waiting room. So with that in mind, would you like to go and do that again? So, fuck, I'm shaking, going, I've got this totally wrong. So I went up and I started doing waiting in the dentist room acting. Yeah, for all I'm worth. Went back down again. What is it you think you have to offer British theatre? And I said, myself.
I love it.
Me. He said, and what do you mean by me? What is you? You tell me something. Anyway, chatted away. The students were helping out. And said, well, thank you very much for your time. It's been very nice meeting you, thank you. And off I went. And I came out and I went, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. And this lovely girl, I always remember she was in the year, she's second year student, said, you did really well. You cope really well with them. You know they're buggers, you know that. This is a difficult place. They challenge you. This is what they do. This is what they get up to. And you cope really well. He said, you're joking, I didn't even know where the bloody play took place. They're having a little, they know what they're doing, they're having a little poke about, do you know how you get on? Got to be able to stand up for yourself. And that was that. Went home, back in the Morris Minor, back to Ramsey. 3 weeks later, got the letter. In the morning, I was about to go to work, and my mum and dad, and I'm jumping up in the air, they didn't have a clue.
Wow.
My dad's Irish. What the bloody hell's going on with all that shouting? I said, I've got in. Got in where? I said, I've got in at drama school. I'm going to drama centre. And then he said, who's paying?
That's fantastic.
So there we go. That's how I started. I know. Fun. That was actually what happened. And but my story wouldn't be unique. Loads of people, suddenly. Where it comes from is the interesting thing. I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing,
But you're really unique. There's no one else like you. You know what I mean? Like certain actors have types. You're Tony O'Callaghan. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they saw. I thought, well, we've never seen anyone like this.
You hope that continues, that they see something, But in a way, it's a massive punt.
Yeah.
You have no idea. I had no idea what I was letting myself in from. Did 3 years at drama school, and then basically spent the next 10 years in theatre, sort of doing reps all over the place. Keswick, I was there for 6 months. Cheltenham, Northampton, Worthing, anything I could get, I did it. And that's quite tough because you can't have digs in London, just couldn't afford it. I had to give up the digs every time and sort of try and sleep on someone's floor when I came back. Start again.
Did your folks see you on stage?
They did. They saw me. Never saw me at drama school. No. I sort of kept them away from that. I thought I'll do my thing and I'll invite them when I start. I'll invite them. And they came to Cheltenham. I did a few plays up there, and they came. Yeah, my dad's very typical Irish. He'd be very low key.
Right.
He wouldn't be overboard. He'd go, not too bad,
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd be quite well, but in their own way, they were very supportive. In a quiet way. He didn't say. I thought he'd say it was complete lunacy, especially given his background. But he didn't. He obviously said, "Well, what can you do? It's what he wants to do." So you just got to let him play it out. Bill came a long time.
Right. Yes.
Long time down the road.
Yeah.
I was in my 30s.
And you've done bits of telly, haven't you? Before?
Bit, yeah. My first telly was Terry and June.
Love it. Amazing.
That was a week's rehearsal. I only had a tiny part. I had 2 scenes playing Terry's chauffeur. He'd have a thing that was a lovely. He had a secretary in it, and he was going out with a secretary or something like that. 2 scenes, and it was recorded at a TV centre.
Wow.
I was terrified, absolutely terrified.
Live audience.
Live audience.
Yeah. All right. Wow.
June Whitfield came out before the show and did a stint for the audience. She was absolutely brilliant. She was like a stand-up. She was incredible. That was my first telly.
I'm always fascinated by how you're performing in front of an audience who
Well,
are
it's
right
weird.
there, but you're performing for the television
Well, you don't see them.
camera,
When you're in a set stuck behind,
Right.
the audience are there. You just hear them laughing. You can't see them. It's very odd. I remember the first scene. I had to open the door and the bloody door handle came off. Oh God! I thought, oh God, And Terry Scott, he was okay. He was very quite complicated character. Terry Scott,
Right.
really experienced comedic actor. Kept himself to himself.
Right.
And it's funny. I got a run of doing sort of sitcoms after that. I did one with Richard O'Sullivan. And he was similar. He was quite complicated, very quiet. Would sit in the room on his own and do his own thing. They're a different breed, I think. Comics.
It's interesting because quite a lot of the actors from the bill came from doing sitcom. Andy Paul had done a fair bit. Joe Niles had done a fair bit of sitcom. Chris Ellison had done some sitcom. So
yeah, really, I don't know. Well, of course, those were I think what it is a numbers game. There were parts,
Yeah.
Very difficult now. Young actors, The bill was fantastic.
Yeah. What a training ground.
Loads of parts.
Yeah.
You had a chance. But now, Casualty, Holby, I suppose. I mean, it's the ongoing serials that have guest artists. Soaps, not so good because soaps tend to have the same people.
Yes.
So Holby, unless you're a patient, it's the same people. Same with Casualty to an extent. But the bill was fantastic because there were loads of parts. Every week they needed.
James McAvoy, having his,
I didn't know. It was on Graham Norton. Yeah, at the back of my head, basically. He was only 16. He's done quite well, hasn't he?
He certainly has.
Next time I see him, I'll stop him. I'm the back of the head in your... Because he said, there was... I did a scene, he said, I was terrified. I kept saying the lines over and over in my head. And he said, but the sergeant was a really nice guy. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah, there you go.
That was sweet.
Oh.
Bless him.
You had Alex Kingston as well.
That's right, Alex. We did an episode.
She was quite a well-to-do prostitute.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's you and Alan Westaway.
That's right. Alan was lovely.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy. Very funny.
Yes. Yeah,
he played the sort of rookie.
And he's screenwriting now. He's started writing telly. Yeah.
A bit like yourself.
He's doing amazing. He did Stanley's Lucky Man, and he's
really?
He's now developing a new series for Sky. He's still doing the occasional bit of acting, but he just
branched out into the writing. Clever bloke.
You were surrounded by, I think, this era of the bill. I've said this to when I've interviewed Lisa Gagan and Andy Paul. Like, that era had such longevity because you were all there together for like 10 years. You and Hugh and Sita, and it was just such a. I mean, when I think of the bill, that's my lineup. That's what I grew up with, watching you guys.
I think it was a golden era. That.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do.
Absolutely. Well, my wife said, she was right excited. She knew how excited I was about coming to meet you, but she said, well, Boyden was the bridge, wasn't he, between classic Bill and new Bill. You got both sides of it, didn't you? Because they gave you that incredible exit storyline.
Oh God, oh God, yeah.
And you just think,
I must admit, when I picked up that script, I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this. Have we stepped over the line here? But of course we had stepped over the line, and there was a reason for that, because I was on the way out.
Yeah.
But you kind of thought, I don't know. I wasn't secure. It was in character. But you know what? You have to give up all that shit when you're working in what the bill had become was a soap basically by this stage. They have to bend characters all sorts of ways. You have to kind of ease up on what you think. Oh, my character wouldn't do that way. Tough, yeah.
Was it your decision to want to move on?
No. New producer came.
Yeah.
And he had a massive clear up of the old faces, which is fair enough. That's his prerogative, He wanted to freshen it up. I'm bound to say I thought it went too far, but
yeah. Well, a lot of the fans feel the same to this day,
Yeah, but then it's difficult from my perspective because people think, it's sour grapes, but it's not. This is after all those years after. I'm not sour at all. I had a massive run. I didn't expect to be there for 12 years.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be there for like a year, be good. So by the time he called me into the office, Paul Marquez, his name was.
Yeah.
He said, would you like to... I didn't really know him. I didn't have any relationship with him at all. Whereas Michael Chapman I knew really well, and Richard Hanford I knew, but I didn't know Paul. He said, would you like to step in? And I said, another one being evicted from the house, is it? Because Big Brother was on. And he didn't reply to that. He said, we've decided to move Boyden into an area where... it doesn't become tenable for him to stay any longer. I said, you're sacking me. Yes, we are.
Right.
I said, okay. He said, but you've got a good storyline. I said, oh, well, brilliant. That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't nip out for a bag of pencils.
No.
I said, oh, that's really good. And, I'd had a good run, so I felt quite philosophical about it, actually. Had I known quite how difficult it was going to be after, I probably would have liked to have hung on a little one. But... No.
Pretty quickly into family affairs, didn't you? See?
Yeah, I went into family affairs for a bit. I did okay, but obviously in the bill you're in the bubble. You don't until you actually get on with it outside. You don't realise quite how difficult it is. And you can't have everything. You can't have regular work for 12 years and then think that you're not going to be typecast. That's the trade-off.
When you were in EastEnders, the publicity was Bill-led, wasn't it? Of course. I'm interested, was that a straight offer for you to join EastEnders?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. Because I still hear people some of your contemporaries who have to audition. I just think that's nuts because surely, I mean, if I was in the business, I'd just be casting you guys in everything.
With all due respect, I don't think the casting is rocket science. I think the character was supposed to be an ex-policeman. Who was in the bill? And what about, what's his name? Tony. I'll get him in there. And no, it was nice. It was a nice little story. And we're still married as far as I'm aware.
Well, yeah.
We never got divorced.
No.
So, you usually get killed off and there. That's that. So I'll probably be back to murder her or something. God knows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Describe a day in the life of making the bill from your perspective and who
Right, well, the day in the life was, for me, because I lived and still live in Crouch End, which is completely the other side of London. I didn't expect it to go on as long as you don't know. You just get a contract and they extend it or they don't. So I carried on living in Crouch End. So the journey to South Wimbledon or Morden, I had to get up at 5:45. Left the house at 6:15. I was at the studio at 7. First thing I could get through. If I left it any later than that, I was buggered with the traffic. Right. Get there, straight to the dressing room, get changed, get tea, da-di-da, look at the lines, and then you're on at 8 o'clock. You start. The people I suppose I was closest to, it's just the people you work with a lot, like Colin Tarrant, Jeff Stewart, I've worked with a lot. Lisa, I worked with a lot. Andy, quite a bit. Hugh Higginson, I worked with quite a bit. It was that lot. I never liked doing bits in CID. I didn't get it up there. It was a funny old place. It was like a boys' school. They were always pissing about, and it was always with me. It was 5 scenes in CID on a Friday afternoon, and you just wanted it to end.
Right.
And they would, they do people like lovely Kevin Lloyd. They go turning over because it was tape in those days, and to get up to speed and action. And they go, you're standing there trying to get your thing together. What's the line? And I'd always have my lines in my back pocket. I go speed, and Kevin would grab my balls. Fuck! And I go, ow! Cut! What's going on? Constant. It was constant.
Tom Butcher recalls on his first ever scene with Chris Ellison, he had to come in to hand some paper on Chris's desk. And he said, "Here you go, Gov." And Chris Ellison turned around, he had his eyes closed with the words "fuck off." and Tom kept in character and did the take. He went, "Welcome aboard, son."
Tom Butcher and Graham Cole were the two police in my audition.
Oh, really?
When I auditioned for Sergeant Boyden, I had to learn 2 scenes.
Right.
And I was out in the backyard with it, and they were the 2 actors I auditioned with.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Graham, lovely guy.
Yes.
Very, very warm, but decent. Tom, quirky.
Yes. Yeah.
A little bit left field.
Yeah.
There you go. He'd sort of mutter things, just for it. Ooh, he'd sort of be muttering. You go, what? Don't worry. Ooh, there you go.
Andrea Mason, who I saw last week, and she said, Tony O'Callaghan's the nicest man. She said, "Do you remember those adverts where he gave people a hug?" She said, "That's Tony."
Oh God, yeah, the Kleenex.
Yeah,
oh
Right.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, she's lovely. She came a bit later.
That's right.
Andrea, yeah. I mean, you know what, the turnover. I mean, it was quite ruthless there with characters. Michael Chapman was quite hard-nosed. If he didn't, I mean, Andrew did okay, but if he didn't think you were, well, look what happened to me. If he didn't think you were working, you were out. You didn't get much time. You had to sort of make an impact or do something that he could see on screen. He didn't have a lot of patience. And some people, there was one lovely girl, Liz Crowder, and she came in, brilliant actress, had done loads, proper actress, Royal Shakespeare Company, we're talking all this stuff, and she came and she said, "I don't know how I'm going to get on here." And I said, "You are absolutely fine."
Yeah.
I said, "You would have to shit on Michael Chapman's desk to get the fucking sack. You are." She was gone 6 weeks later. And she still, ever I bumped it, she still reminds me of that.
Yeah.
You said I wasn't going to get a sack. I know.
Steve Morley recalls that you were very supportive of him coming in doing like semi-regular stuff as the
Oh, he was
custody
the sergeant. He used to come in, and
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
He taught in a girls' school. Or
That's right, and still does.
does he? He was head of drama. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
He looked a bit like Mike Yarwood. Yeah, Steve, that's right. Oh, yeah. Nice guy. Very nice guy.
He recalls you were just great support because he had an episode where they made it quite big, and he recalls you were just great support. And
Oh, well, that's really... God, that's sweet people to say that, you know.
I suppose you go from that period of being the new boy to then being an one of the leading men, you know, and so you...
I was very lucky, though. I was lucky the way the character... And it was all by chance it happened that the character turned the corner into something else.
Yeah.
So I think the writers, I don't know if they found it easy to write for me, but if they were stuck, I think they could always spin a Boyden thing where he was, some mate turned up that wasn't great, so maybe a Ben Copper or so they could always eke a story out. I was lucky like that, and I think that's why I think I lasted as long as I did. I think really, and after a while you do become sort of integral.
Oh yeah.
You know, after about 2 or 3 years, you start to become part of the furniture, and then I suppose they think, well, no, we can't. Well, we get rid of him. Then what who's gonna do that part then?
Yeah.
Would have to recreate something completely different, which I think Paul Marquez did. He changed the whole look of it. He changed the music. He changed he wanted to recreate the whole thing, which is fair enough. But then you alienate part of the audience at the same time. You gain a new audience, I suppose. You're trying to get the young ones to come on board, but then you alienate the ones that were loyal to it. I'm bound to say it, but I thought it was a golden era. It was a golden era, number one, because of the writing. They had top writers. Writers that went on to do amazing stuff. Chris Russell, there were loads of top writers with amazing ideas. Episodes where they'd come and a pensioner had been dead for weeks. You know, really atmospheric episodes with real feeling. They were almost like little play for todays, you know, in their own right. Even though it was a quickly made thing on an evening at 7 o'clock or whatever it was, 7:30, you know, and it was botched out, but it had a lot of integrity. And I have to say, good actors.
Oh yeah.
They had some bloody good actors in it as well that had to deal with things quickly. It was a bit like doing radio, except it was in vision. It was quick.
Yeah.
You had to learn the lines quick. You had to learn the lines the night before. There were 3 episodes, especially the half hours, 3 episodes, and you could be in all 3.
Yeah.
You know, they all had a different colour. Did Nigel explain? All the scripts, they were green, red, blue. Yeah. There was I remember used to do location stuff. There was a bus. You used to get on the bus and you'd go to wherever, you know, filming, say, in a council estate up at the Elephant and Castle, that horrible estate. So you'd get on the bus and the assistants would knock on the door, and you're on the red script, and they said, red script's leaving now, Tony. I went, right, get your gear. Out you go with your scripts, make sure. And then you had scripts, you were taken off that location by a car and taken to green. You had to have all your scripts with you to go on to the next one. So I got on the bus, and there was a massive hero of mine, Brian Glover, who was in Cares. He was at the National Theatre in Bill Bryden's company, you know, in the mystery play. I loved him. I thought it was great, and I sort of nervously went up and said, "I'm really sorry to bother you, Brian. I'm a massive fan of yours. I really have enjoyed your performances." You know, he said, "Oh, that's very good of you. Thanks very much. You know, that's very good." I said, "So, what are you doing?" I'm playing a retired union rep in this, and it comes out that he might be a paedophile or something, but he's not. I went, "Oh, right," and I've suddenly thought, that doesn't sound familiar. Oh, fuck! I've got the wrong script, and I'm talking to him, and I'm going through my script, going, shit. I said, "Can I just ask you, Brian, what colour is your script?" He said, "It's blue." I said, "Brian, you're on the wrong bus."
Oh no!
And we're about 20 minutes away from the bill. We were way up the road. I went, Why? What bus is this? I said, this is the red unit. It's the red bus. Oh shit! I said, you go. So it stopped the bus. So he stopped the bus, and then the assistant got off with him, and they got a cab back to base, and he got on the right bus. Bless him. I know. But you know, it's quite confusing.
Well, yeah.
All these different units at the same time. I know. I know. Oh, it was nice when we had Leslie Phillips came, did an episode. He said to Lisa Kay, "Tell me, does anybody ever say to you, 'turn over, Miss Page'?" Oh, bless him. A legend. He was a legend. Maurice Denham. Do you remember an actor called Maurice Denham? Maurice turned up. He played that before he passed away, bless him. Yeah.
Was there a point when you started, when you suddenly thought, "Oh, here we go, I'm being recognised," and the fame?
Not really. With me, I'm sure some people, because I was a slow burner. It took quite a while for my character to get going. I didn't get recognised, and then after about 2 years it started, and that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
People, you know, you kind of get used to it, and you've got to just be polite, you know. But it can be a bit tricky sometimes, you know.
Ben Payton recalls that people used to go, "It's Sergeant Bowden, it's Sergeant Bowden," and give the name.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He used to call me Boyden.
Yeah.
Bless him. He was a nice guy, a lovely guy.
He's a lovely man.
It wasn't his girlfriend in publicity.
That's right.
Yeah.
Married with 2 kids.
Oh wow! I
Yeah.
bumped into her actually in the West End. Yeah.
Ben's a film critic now. He's got his own
Is
website.
he?
He's reviewing movies.
Oh, he was a nice guy.
Yeah. Is there a dream project for you, or something, a show you'd love to be in, or
I'd like to work back in Ireland. I did a stint in the soap over there, Fair City. I was in it for about 3 months. I was an English priest, right? Whatever. Not sure how that came about. But anyway, I played a priest, and I enjoyed. But I would like to work in Ireland. I'd like to see. What, you know, we've been talking maybe that we'd actually set up shop there. You know, well, we'll see how things go with what's going on. You know, in this country, I don't know. I'm beginning to lose heart. And maybe it'd be nice to have the opportunity to do that. Maybe a bit of theatre or something like that. But no, I've always taken. I've met loads of actors that had loads of plans, and I always think it's nice to have plans because it keeps you forward thinking. But the reality and the actuality of it all is you're like a bottle that's wandering about on the sea, and you just get turfed up on a desert island of work, and then the waves whip you off again, and off you go again. So I haven't got a clue what I'm doing half the time. I've no idea. But I quite like it that way, you know. My wife, she's got a proper job. She works for Ofsted. Siobhan, yeah. I remember when I first met her, she didn't have a clue who I was, never watched the bill. I'd been in it a year.
Right.
And the only thing she ever watched was Brookside, and she's a massive fan of Holby, but that came later. Didn't have a clue. And I remember I said, "Well, I'm on an episode tonight," and she said, "I didn't recognise you. I was looking for you, and I still didn't think." I said, "Well, I was there.
Yeah.
I was stuck behind a desk, you know, being surly."
Yeah. Was there a period when, I always imagine, especially if you've played someone for 12 years, you know, you I don't know, some actors I've spoke to refer to that person almost as a real person, like, you know.
Yeah.
Was it hard when he did get, because I think you have the rare distinction of being killed twice, because you filmed your death scene twice.
No, the MIT came out of Thames, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or whatever it was called then. Freeman, I don't know what they were called.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever they were,
Yeah.
all they used the footage.
Oh, right.
Because it came out, and they just reused the footage.
Right.
That was filmed in Brixton Market, and obviously it was full on. I think it was done on a Saturday.
Right.
Really busy, and all the bystanders are just people.
Wow.
Yeah, they're walking around, and
I mean, with them, there's no, like, Twitter and all that, because that would be spoilers now, wouldn't it? People...
Yeah. Oh well, now everybody knows who's leaving, all the digital spy and all that. They all know everything. They all know everything. They know They must get the info.
I remember you were on the front cover of all the, you have the TV Times and all the different magazines on the front on that week.
It was a bit mad that time. It was a bit, everybody wanted sort of interviews. You see, it's funny because you don't realise you live in a little bubble in the Bill. You don't think of yourself as in any way famous, or you just it's like a factory. You just got up, did your bit, went home. Never went to fancy restaurants or anything like that. It was just like it's like a proper job, and you just keep your head down. It's quite a grueling schedule. The weekends were taken up with looking at the scripts for the next week, and that was it. It was a conveyor belt. You just got on with it. So it was a bit of a shock. It was a bit of a shock when people started to recognise you. And I didn't mind it. Yeah, it's a bit frivolous, isn't it? Well, yeah. It's all a bit daft, isn't it?
Was it sad to be killed? For him to die?
No, I thought it was the best way to go.
Yeah.
I did, and you're not constantly thinking, oh, maybe I'll come back. No, it's done, I thought maybe 3 or 4 years previously I'd been through the cycle. I was really repeating scripts that had already been done. I had that feeling. But you know what? You think to yourself, this bottle ain't going to come on this desert island again like this. Just go with it, and don't worry about typecasting. The damage is done. Just go with the flow, and when it ends, and that's exactly what happened. But I was very lucky. I had a really good story, I think, to go out on. I think at times it was quite powerful. And a lovely girl, Georgia Moffat. Lovely girl. David Tennant, I bumped into her and David Tennant in Budgeons at the Crouch End. He just done Hamlet. I hadn't seen Georgia since we did the bill. I went, hello, mate. She made a lovely mug for me. She had a little baby. I don't know how old she was, the baby, when she did the bill. But she used to take it to these places where you can make china and stuff for the kids. And she made this lovely blue mug with the police logo, the bill, and a whole little inscription about Sergeant Boyden. But a really nice thing when she left. But I remember her mum, American actress, Sandra Dickinson. I hope you're looking after my daughter. I said, oh yeah. Well, actually, she's looking after me. There was a scene in the back of a car.
Yes.
We're supposed to have been shagging or something. Yeah. And I said, there's me. I don't know how old I was. I said, this is ludicrous. It's like shagging your granddad here. I just think this is daft, Georgia. You know what I mean? Yeah. She said, oh no, I don't think. She was so nice. I don't think that. You don't. I said, oh, get out of it. Look at my age. It's bloody daft. I said, but we got to do it. This is us waiting to film. Right. Sitting in the car chatting. I said, we got to do it, And that was the first scene I did with her. They do it all arse about face, out of sequence. I hadn't met her yet in the story. We were sent to a school, and she was in the school, with her buttons undone and what. And we hadn't done that. So we're in the back of this. I said, what is it? I said, let's do the lines. So we did the lines for the scene. So this is obviously after they've just finished. They can't show it because it's 8 o'clock at night. So they've just finished shagging, right? So how are we going to do that then? She said, I was a little bit nervous, because I didn't want to come across as, lecturous actor with a lovely, pretty young lady. I didn't, I felt a bit. It's like that. She said, oh no, I know exactly how we're going to do it. You're going to sit on the back seat there, and I'll get the camera there, and I'm going to lie on top of you. And I went, that would be right then. So when the cameraman, the director came, hello gang, sorry about the delay. Should we crack on? I said, George has got it sussed. Oh, right, what are we doing? This is the director. Said, I'm going to be sitting on the back seat. She said, and he said, that's a brilliant idea. Okay, let's get the camera in. So I'm on the back seat. She's astride of me on the thing. So I said, so I suppose we ought to be making some noises. I said, is it directly after? He said, well, sort of. It's like, what I'm going to do is and then she'll come off you because we need to get into the tour. I said, oh, right. So we'll do a bit of noise. We'll do this noise idea. Should we do a bit of that? He said, yeah, we'll give it a go. So George is doing it. I go, and then he said, well, make it like 5 seconds, and then jump. You go. And it's all done like that, like numbers, Lovely girl though, really good fun.
Funny way to make a living, eh?
Funny way to make a living, shagging your granddad. Slightly embarrassed. I was slightly embarrassed about the whole thing, you know. But hey, there you go. It's script's a script. You just get on with it, you know.
Well, all the fans will be absolutely chuffed that you've done this. And
oh, listen, it's my pleasure. I hope you've got enough there to cut into something.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. And something that people like to do is support a charity of the interviewee's choice. So is there something that means something to you, and I can put a link on this when this goes live?
I suppose the one I used to be involved with the Teenage Cancer Trust, which is a fantastic organisation, which have special wards for teenagers. That, you know, the doctors don't wear white coats. That, you know, they try and make it accessible, and that's a brilliant. But I think the one, because of what my wife does, because she's Ofsted inspector, the one that I think is NSPCC. Right. That's the one that I like to support. I support them all. Yeah. I give so much money to every charity. I'm trying to cut them down, if I'm to be absolutely honest. But I think the NSPCC is the one closest to my heart. So
next year, it's 10 years since the bill finished.
Oh.
Do you think it should come back? And if so, how could it come back in this era of Boris and his 20,000 police officers?
I would love it to come back. I would absolutely love it. And I think why I would love it to come back is because, not anything to do with me, clearly, is because I think it was such a brilliant vehicle for lots and lots of young actors, where they need screen time and they need something like the bill where they can even play a small bit in it and then come back and do another small bit and get some experience. The reality of bringing it back, I think, would be difficult. Would they have to repackage it in such a way that it couldn't be called the bill anymore? Would it have to be something called something else? Would you know, because there's a whole new generation out there that didn't know it. I think it would be difficult. I'd love to see it again. There's a market for it.
Oh yeah.
The trouble is, though, the wonderful thing that the bill did was they did this fly on the wall kind of drama, this feel to it, and it's there. That unfortunately the fly on the wall's all over the place. The real fly on the wall. Yeah. So in a way, the market's been taken up. I don't know how they'd redo it. It's possible that there's been talk of it. Yeah. I've heard rumour. I think, was it Channel 5 were thinking about it? Or
like recently, the Radio Times did a poll on the most wanted TV comebacks. The bill came second out of all television shows. A Foyle's War.
Oh right. Well, that's a very different kettle of fish. That's a fancy drama with money spent. Yeah. You're talking a different animal altogether. Yeah. The bill was made quickly, cheaply. You know, I mean, different thing. Interesting. Yeah. I suppose if there's enough people out there that remember it, but then would they be disappointed? Because it's not what they. It's a bit like meeting an old girlfriend or boyfriend. You know, you're excited about meeting them, but you've changed. The two of you have moved on. Yeah. You're not what you were. Yeah. It's a bit like that. That's the analogy I would give to the bill. Things have moved on to such a degree. Would people be disappointed? I don't know. Listen, it could happen if there's enough, will for it, and people think that it's a goer. There isn't a police series like it.
No, nothing's filled. I mean, you've got Line of Duty for 6 weeks a year, which is all about the corrupt.
That's a different animal, though. Yes. And then that's all higher level, but it's not to do with the plods. No, slightly different thing.
Yeah, we should get you in Line of Duty.
Line of Duty. Oh, well, there we go. Aging copper, retired copper. Might be something. Never know.
Well, everyone will be absolutely chuffed to have heard, and I'm sincerely. I mean, you're a legend.
A legend in his own lunchtime.
Brilliant. You're brilliant, and thank you for doing this.
My pleasure.
Legend. Thank you.
Hello, this is Ben Payton, and you have been listening to The Bill Podcast, with special thanks to Tony O'Callaghan, produced and presented by Oliver Crocker, co-produced by Paul Dunn, James Ledane and Alex Mockler, executive produced by Joseph Beaver, Christopher Booth, Daniel Christopher, Luke Hegarty, Benjamin Hughes, Robert Jennings, Edward Kellett, Stuart and Jen Morris, Justin Pitt, Tom Sherrington and Patrick Stratford. Brought to you in association with Misty Moon Events. Now, after listening to Oliver's excellent podcasts, why don't you check out my film review website, foryourfilmsonly.com. You know you want to.